Hey everybody, this is my scoop and fold technique, and I'm doing it on the biggest canvas that I've ever done it on. This is a 24 by 36 inch canvas, and I've mixed a total of about 50 ounces of paint, roughly 50 ounces of paint, and I'm gonna guide you through how to do this. And I gotta say, this is one of my favorite techniques because there's so much room for creativity and it's really hard to mess up as well. And if you make errors, it's easy to fix, and I will show you why. So I'm just going through and I'm layering out my colors. I've chosen a fluorescent rainbow colored palette, as you can see, and I'm adding black in between every 2 to 3 colors. I add a line of black because I like the contrast. I feel fluorescents stand out a lot more when they're next to black. Now, one thing you got to know is you want to go through all the paint that you've mixed. So if you have whatever size canvas and it requires that amount of paint, you want to go through all that paint because you want to make sure at the end that you have enough paint to spread off the canvas to get the composition to expand and show. You also want a thicker consistency. You want about 1 part paint to 2 parts pouring medium. I use Floetrol for my pouring medium in this painting. And some of my colors were thinned out with a little bit of distilled water. Now, you can't always just stick to, 1 part this, 2 parts that, because the paints that you use are all going to have thinner or thicker consistencies, and some require more or less pouring medium. And the ones that are too thick, I like to thin out with a little bit of water. You really just got to use your common sense when it comes to getting all your consistencies to match. Okay, and now let me actually talk about the technique and how to do this. This is not scoop and drag. This is scoop and fold. You're scooping under, you're getting as much paint as you can on that palette. Okay, and then you want to flip it over. And by doing it this way, this is what's going to help the colors blend well together. And you just scoop and fold. Kind of helps to say it a little bit. Scoop and fold. And if you notice, after every time I scoop and fold, I use that extra paint and I put it on the side of the canvas. And you'll see why as we get towards the end. And scoop and fold. And right now I am turning over my canvas because I am right-handed. So I scoop with my right hand from right to left. Okay. So I did the one side and now I'm going and doing the other. Kind of reminds me of when you're folding in the dough when you're making bread. That's what it reminds me of. That was not my inspiration for this painting, but that's what I think of when I do this. Scoop and fold. Okay, now what you see there is a blue glitter paint that I'm using by Folk Art, and I wanted to get some lines of glitter. I don't know that it's going to happen because that paint kind of just has a mind of its own. But when it dries, it is so cool. It's got like this kind of glittery, blue glittery finish that goes across. And I put that around there in the chance that I can get it to show up. Also notice that most of the paint that I'm using is still on the canvas. I haven't gotten too much below the canvas, thankfully. At this point, I also want to start being careful because if I over scoop and fold, the colors are going to blend too much and it might get muddy. And now I'm switching to a smaller palette, and the reason I'm doing this is because I want to get some finer lines. Because remember, everything that you see there in the center, that's going to spread and be bigger. Okay, and now as you can see, I'm taking all that paint and I am putting it towards the center, and that is what's going to help all the paint spread off. And this is the fun part, tilting. I like to tilt very slow. I don't want to go too fast, and I don't want to worry about covering my corners just yet. What I want to do is cover as much of the surface of the canvas as I can before tilting any paint off the canvas. Generally, I like to go up to the corner, back to the center, but when tilting, it's important that you kind of look at the whole composition and look at the movement of the paint and see what it's doing. I also wanted to mention that these colors are black light reflective, which will be shown at the end of this video. It is really, really, really cool. Tilting is probably my favorite part of this technique because you watch all that mess just go off the canvas and then you see the beauty of it just expand and the colors blend. I will see you at the end of this video for the final dried result and the black light result as well. And here is the final dried result. And the colors did not dull out too much. A lot of times with fluid art paintings, the colors, they dry dull until you varnish them and then they pop again. But I'm very pleased with this. And I can't wait to resin it once it's fully cured. And here's the painting under black light, and I think it is badass. Thank you guys for watching. Any questions, comments, feedback, or insults, please don't hesitate to leave it in the comments section. Until next time, bye!